cannabis became a very important pain relieving substance for me. I wanted to prove to the world how big and fucking scary I was through football. And in attempting to achieve that, I destroyed myself. And I was face to face with this stark reality that none of that stuff can really be the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
We are back after taking a 3-month break. I'm excited to be here and kicking off a new chapter on the Modern Warrior podcast with an exceptional guest. Today, I sat down with ex-NFL player Eben Britton, a true embodiment of resilience and modern warrior spirit. We discuss overcoming setbacks, personal growth, and the journey to living a purposeful life. This episode is a powerful reminder of the strength required to pause, reflect, and return stronger. Let's dive in. Eben, my man, it is an absolute honor to have you here on the Modern Warrior podcast. This is the first episode I am recording for the last 3 months after taking a pause from the podcast, and what an incredible guest we have lined up here today as the return of the Modern Warrior podcast, because right in front of me I have an absolute modern warrior of a man. So Eben, how are you, my man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Glad to be here with you. Thanks for having me, man.
It's an honor, my man, an honor. Looking forward to this conversation with you, because as we spoke, you have been going through many different experiences, a lot of growth, a lot of progress, a lot of processing of pain, which is a lot of the work you do with the men as well, a lot of the work I do with the men, and we need to lead by example. And that's a big reason why I have you here on this podcast today, because I feel we're both aligned and we're both on a similar mission here, and very interested to hear your perspectives on the state of men in today's world and also the state of masculinity. So before we get into that though, can you give us a bit of background in terms of the early life influences that you had that inspired you to become an NFL player?
Yeah.
And inspired you to become the man that you are today. You know, it's all part of it.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, I was born in New York City in 1987 and dropped in to a family of athletes and artists. Sports, art, theater, film, literature, these were all very important themes in my upbringing, in my family's culture. Athletics, really on my dad's side, and his 3 brothers, my 3 uncles, they were all state level athletes in high school. My dad went on to play D1 basketball. And so my whole childhood was filled with days at the park playing one sport or another, and then reading books and watching old films and going to museums and going to theater and having these interesting, really this dichotomy, this really interesting, like, athletics, modern warrior, like a modern warrior's, the modern warrior pathway, as it were, when football emerged. And then also this artist undercurrent to it all. And so parents got divorced when I was 7, sort of set the stage for the whole thing. And somewhere around there, I was at my grandparents' house in Connecticut watching the summer news, and they had the Jets and the Giants in training camp. Jets and the Giants from the NFL, American football. And I just fell in love with it. I wanted to be one of these gladiators in this armor, just in this violent ballet, crashing into each other. And working to the strongest, working to dominate the opponent, and it just, I looked at it as this, underneath all of that, the dark side of the family atmosphere was there's a lot of alcoholism, there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of depression, a lot of heavy psychological, there was a heavy psychological tone to my family as well underneath all that. And so I looked at football as this way to transcend that, to show myself, to prove myself to the world, to conquer the world, essentially. And so freshman year of high school, fast forward a handful of years, freshman year of high school, I started playing football, and it was just this rocket ship to the moon trajectory to playing in the NFL, realizing this dream that I had of playing in the NFL. Everything I did, how I carried myself, how I lived, how I ate, how I walked, how I talked, was all in alignment with achieving this dream. And I like that, the idea of talking about the influences there. I mean, obviously there are had many professional athlete influences. I mean, I grew up during the era of Michael Jordan in basketball, and Troy Aikman in football, and this was sort of a golden age of professional sports, the 90s. And so I was very much influenced by those men, those people, and simultaneously very influenced by my own father, who's an artist and an athlete at heart, one of the hardest working people I've ever met, living with an attitude of perseverance and discipline. And he was very influential on me and his outlook on life, good and bad, for better and for worse. And so I had some great coaches who were obviously always huge role models, and just how am I living as a man? And I think I was influenced by some really good people, some really strong people. So, realized that dream of playing in the NFL when I was 21, drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 39th overall in the second round. Went on to play 6 seasons in the NFL, 4 years with the Jaguars, 2 years with the Chicago Bears as an offensive lineman. During that time, suffered a laundry list of injuries, dislocated shoulder, had shoulder surgery, back surgery, ruptured disc in my spine, torn muscles, ligaments, myriad concussions, all the things that we endure during our football career. Had various experiences with opiates and the destruction of those, which I've written about and spoken about many times. To keep it super short, they didn't work for me. I experienced severe withdrawal symptoms after 3 days of prescribed use, and knew that these things weren't a very beneficial option for me as far as dealing with pain and recovering. And, not to get into, we could have a whole podcast talking about pharmaceuticals and opiates and all of that stuff, which do nothing to help you heal, and in fact chemically inhibit the body from its own healing process. So always chose, one of the gifts of my family background, very holistically minded people, so always chose the natural remedies. Cannabis became a very important pain relieving substance for me as an alternative to opiates, also just helping me manage the mental and emotional stress of playing professional football, etc. And other things, functional mushrooms, ginseng, ashwagandha, all the ancient adaptogenic tools that I stumbled on through my NFL career, which was part of my early education to get me to where I am now, which I suppose is some sort of wellness influencer, I guess, if we had to put a title on it and really simplify it. So my football career was an incredible, to summarize, my football career was this incredible curriculum in navigating pain, achieving your dream, following your destiny, following your truth, and the intentions behind all of it. For instance, my intention with playing football was to conquer the world. My intention with football, because of where I came from as a little kid, which was, afraid, not always safe. There was always, there wasn't, I wanted to prove to the world how big and fucking scary I was through football. And in attempting to achieve that, I destroyed myself. And I came out of my football career mentally, emotionally, and physically destroyed. And so, the gift of that was getting to start from rock bottom on this journey of putting myself back together again, little by little. And it started, obviously I always had a good handle on my body. So I left the NFL at 330 pounds, coming out of my football career, my taking care of my physical body was obviously a priority, and I knew how to do that. So, got myself into really good shape. That was sort of the easy part, and through getting my body clear through food, specifically a ketogenic diet at that time, which has evolved over the years, but it really started with doing a ketogenic diet, high fat, moderate protein, very low carbs, weightlifting, yoga, all of the things that I had done for my entire life. I got my body clear, and really after that, shedding a lot of physical weight, literally, was I able to realize, like, oh shit, the problem is in here, and it's in here. That's where the root of the problem is. It's in how I mentally relate with my life, the thought patterns that are swirling, the thought noise, the mind noise that's ever present, and then not ever taking a look at my heart and what's going on here. And so that process of putting that back in order, or bringing it all back into alignment, really started in a men's group meeting in Al-Anon. Al-Anon is for the families of alcoholics. AA is for the alcoholics, and there's Al-Anon, which is for the families of alcoholics. And we say in Al-Anon, we don't have a drinking disease, we have a thinking disease. And that was exactly what I had, and I stumbled into this men's meeting with the encouragement through the encouragement from my brother, who had been going to these meetings for a little while at that point, and sat down in that chair cloaked in shame and guilt and grief. And the lead speaker started talking, and he just started talking about his childhood. And it was like he was telling my story. He was saying, every word he spoke, I totally resonated with. It was as if he was just telling my story, and it just broke me open with hope and light. And it felt like the clouds had parted, the sun beamed down, and God said, Ed, welcome home. You're okay. You can take a deep breath. And it felt like I could take a deep breath for the first time in maybe my entire life. And that experience really led me little by little on this journey back to myself, where I got back into therapy. I really committed to my yoga practice. I started meditating, started having plant medicine experiences through two of the most important male mentors of my entire life, who just kind of pointed the way for me back to myself. And it was a long, slow process. And like I said earlier, before you hit the record button, it continues, man. It continues to this day. I'm coming out of this weekend-long event that we had here out at our property in Texas, and I've been going through yet another phase of the process. And about 2 weeks ago, I woke up one morning and was in a complete existential crisis of, what am I getting up for? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? And it occurred to me that everything, just about everything I've ever done in my entire life, whether I knew it or not, I was doing it to get some external reward. I was doing it to get the money. I was doing it to prove myself. I was doing it to get fit. I was doing it to get the girl. I was doing it to build the empire. And at this point in my life, I've seen through those external illusions to such a degree, done it thousands and thousands of times. And I was face to face with this stark reality that none of that stuff can really be the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. It can't be about some external thing. Yet again, here we are. And it's like, why am I doing what I'm doing? When I wake up every day and I'm going to do a podcast or I'm going to post this stuff, what's really the intention here behind this thing? And I shared that with a handful of people, and one person said, "Well, man, Eb, I mean, that's kind of what we're all always doing, is doing it for this external thing, this external reward, until we wake up one day and we feel like that isn't doing it anymore. That's not filling the hole anymore." And it occurred to me through this dialogue, talking about it at this event and sharing about it, and I'll get to where I've come to, which has been an interesting revelation. That's not necessarily the fun, exciting thing that you might hope for. But when we get on this path, as men or women, human being gets on the path of getting clear and clean and purifying yourself to your finest core, your most polished, crystalline core of your being, and you're developing yourself and all of these things, you're in a process of purification, of letting go of limiting beliefs and letting go of old patterns that are no longer suiting you, and getting to the authentic core of your being. Inevitably, what's going to happen is part of the intention, your objective in life with whatever it is that you're doing, we're going to come face to face with that. And that's going to have to be yet another place in which we purify ourselves of this material desire, because it's all an illusion outside of you being in total alignment with God and spirit. It's all an illusion. Other than that, unless you're waking up every day and just being moved by God, which is a practice, it takes really devoted practice, commitment to living that way. And it's not always comfortable, and it's not always financially prosperous either, because Gavin, we're choosing to be here, man, we're choosing to be in this dimension where we choose to have a family and a partner and be husbands and fathers and businessmen, and we're choosing to do things here. So part of us has to be interested in building the vision for the sake of building it. But then what is the vision we're building? And so what I came to was this very mature and like I said, not so fun to think about revelation, which is, man, it just has to be for the joy of it. And that joy has to be actively cultivated and recognized, like taking in the majesty of your life one moment at a time and being totally in the bliss of the relationship with your daughter or your partner, or just sitting down to do this job. And the work stuff is all about, it's got to be about just being of service. It's got to be just about making the world a little better than you left it. And then on top of that, just being in the bliss, letting it be good enough that we're here alive, breathing today. Letting the breeze through the trees be good enough. Letting the doing the dishes be good enough, you know? And it sounds like it's getting weird, man, when we're talking about that. But that's where I'm at. And it's not comfortable. And it's not I've been meditating for 10 years, man, you know, and looking where I've come to is there's a part of me that's been waiting for for not the shoe to drop, but for like the ecstasy into God, or like the total dissolving into light, or like, you know, but what's really happened, dude, is I've just become more human. I've become more human. And now it's just about coming to terms with my humanity rather than trying to have some spiritual experience. You know what I mean? That is clearly not going to happen. I mean, we have these things, you know, we have these miraculous moments, and miracles happen all the time. We have, what I'm talking about is that psychedelic orgasm that comes with, you know, the plant medicine journey, or, you know, the whatever it might be, the great meal or the great sex or whatever the stuff is, you know, those big explosions of God. But really practicing the miracle in the mundane, practicing witnessing, observing, feeling, experiencing the miracle of the mundane. So I know that was a lot there, but that's like where I'm at currently, and maybe a little bit, at least a little glimpse of how I got here.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head and smiling as you're talking about these things, because I get it and I understand where you're at, but I'm also aware that there's probably a lot of listeners listening to you right now, and this stuff is going over their head. And you know, you can understand that. I can understand that. I mean, if imagine
Yeah.
you talking that way 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Imagine you listening to yourself now 10 years ago. You'd be going, "What the fuck?"
Totally,
But
man.
that's also a testament of your progress. But again, there's also men out there, people out there who are in the same position you were in and I was in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And they're thinking the same thing now. What the fuck is he talking about? And can we communicate that in a way where it comes across a bit more normal or ordinary to
Yes.
the man out there who just can't grasp this right now because he hasn't gone through these type of experiences yet?
Yeah. So the reason I shared this at the event was because we were going around in one of our circles, a sharing circle portion of the event, and um, a guy in the group who was about my age, actually a little bit older than me. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in October. Um, he was probably 40. And the prompt was something like, if I could wake up tomorrow and have some quality that I'm missing, what would it be? And he said, if I could wake up tomorrow and have a quality that I feel like I'm missing, it would be to really experience that hunger for life again. And I thought,
What a great question. What a great answer.
yeah. And the reason I shared exactly what I shared with you just now. I shared my whole experience over the last couple of weeks, and what really started it that morning was I woke up that morning and I felt the emptiness where that hunger used to live. Where 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I mean, for a long time, man, I wake up every morning and I'm fucking on it. I'm hungry, baby. I'm going to get it. I'm going to build. I'm going to conquer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the pod. I'm going to hit the weights. I'm going to do the yoga. I'm hungry for it. And I thought this morning, 2 weeks ago, I woke up and the hunger was gone. Or at least I had recognized that for however long it's been, maybe like 2 years, maybe for about the last 2 years, has been this slow descent into losing that hunger. And my whole life is built on discipline, so this isn't I'm not a guy that I've just spent my whole life squandering away hours jacking off and sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? Like, my whole life has been built on hunger and discipline. And so to wake up this morning and go, that hunger is totally gone, and feeling this sadness of missing that. Like, man, I used to wake up and it was effortless, dude. I just hit it. I'd hit it. And here I am in this moment in my life, and I'm like, what was I doing? What's going on? Why, this feels so, every day it feels like a grind. Every day I wake up and it just feels like that hunger's not there. It feels like I'm pushing a fucking boulder up a mountain. I'm Sisyphus, just straining my way to get like a little morsel of what I thought was it. And it makes me think about a lot of these young influencers who are in their like mid-20s, and they've got it all figured out. They've got, this is how you eat, this is how you move, this is how you live, man. Life is beautiful. It's it. I've got it all figured out. And it's like, well, it's interesting because I've come to the place where I really observe myself and anything that I experience, where in the Western world, we like to frame things as, oh, what's wrong with me? Oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm depressed. There's something wrong with me. So obviously the Western medical paradigm goes, hey, here's a pill for that. But I've totally reframed my perspective on myself to look at everything that I come into contact with in myself as progress. Like, this is where I've been going. This is all part of the evolution of this ever unfolding process, right? And so here I am. Dude, I've been meditating for the last 10 years. I've never been so clean in my diet. 0 processed foods. I'm eating, superfood. I'm having superfood green drinks and beautiful grass-fed, as high quality meat as you can find. Like, every cent I have extra goes to the quality of my food. It's just like, I couldn't be more clean in my eating. I drink no alcohol for the last 2 years. So it's like, okay, this isn't a matter of deterioration. Maybe. I mean, look, I played pro football, and CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, early onset dementia, and Alzheimer's. These are real things that guys in my profession are dealing with. So sure, I know also that I'm in a bit of my whole life is a management of my mental and physical well-being. That's where that's where I am. That's the price I've paid for the life that I chose to live through professional sports. And I take that on every day. I wake up and my physical and mental health is the number one priority. And so, okay, here we are. And I'm waking up and man, it's different now. Okay, so what can I do? The thing that's new here for me, Gavin, and maybe you can relate to this, and it was brought up at this event this past weekend through a panel of these guys who were speaking on. It was a little live podcast by a guy named Cal Callahan and Luke Story, really brilliant, two incredible dudes, and someone in the audience said, because the story was kind of about both of their struggles as men to ask for help, to get support, to be vulnerable in their pain, and when she asked the question and they both said, great question, I felt it in myself, and I had this interesting, encouraging feeling inside that, man, that me today was able to just go ask for help, go express this, rather than toil with this thing on my own and try to figure it all out on my own. So going back to simplifying this concept of where I'm at, what I'm doing here, this current thing that I'm processing, moving through, integrating, is losing the hunger for life. And so then what? How do I reapproach, or how do I live in a way that I can maybe not feel hungry for life, but reimagine what my relationship to my life is as far as where I'm going and what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Do you feel that this has been a process of you tapping more so into your feminine energy and begin to integrate that a bit more? It's something I've found on my own journey. I've done a couple of psychedelic retreats, and on the last retreat, which was about 6 months ago, I was just lying there for 4 hours whilst my body was processing a lot of pain and shame and trauma from the past, and a lot of shaking and just a lot of release there. But the huge message that I took from that experience was to just fucking stop sometimes. Stop. Because like yourself, I'd be up very early in the morning and it's go, go, go.
Yeah.
It's get up, grab the coffee, do a bit of journaling, get to the gym, jump into the sea, get to work, grind. And I never actually stopped. And that was a huge message. And that stopping process has enabled me to tap into some of the underlying feelings of insecurity and the influences of that are driving my behaviors and actions in life. So in a nutshell, I'm allowing myself to feel now, which is something that I think a lot of men struggle with. We've never been shown how to do it. We've never been demonstrated how to express our feelings, almost as though our feelings don't matter. Shut the fuck up, get back to work.
Yeah.
And do you think that's been a process for you in terms of maybe just tapping into that energy a bit more? Because maybe it's been a process of going too far or too extreme into the masculine, and you've sort of lost sight of the feminine energy. And I believe, and I'm sure you agree, that a strong man needs to be able to integrate both of those energies.
Yeah, dude, you hit it on the fucking head, bro. It's interesting to me that you would say, and I don't, not that I think interesting as in it's wrong. I wouldn't think of it that way, but the stopping or slowing down or doing less, which has been a massive part of my life over the last 2 years, dude. Seriously. I've got the same fucking message. Same exact message. Dude, what are you doing? Stop. Rest. You feel overwhelmed and overexerted? Why are you trying to do more? You know? Where did we get that idea, dude?
Yeah. Serious conditioning from the past, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think watching our fathers do that probably, and
Yeah.
their fathers doing, it's absolutely, man. 100%, 100%, and that space allows me the opportunity to feel what's going on. That space and that stillness when you actually stop and take a rest day, which I do that now, man. I've never done that in my life, but over the last couple of years, I've gotten to the place like yesterday, dude, I didn't do anything. I laid down almost all day. Read a little bit, watched some episodes of Game of Thrones, ate a lot of protein, just totally rested.
I haven't got to that point yet. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on working less.
Well, yeah, for sure, man. Well, I feel like, man, I was body slammed so heavily by the universe on that go that I got to the point where I just didn't have a choice anymore. It was like, you're going to sit down and stop, or you're going to fucking lose your mind.
What's
So,
been the biggest piece of value, or what's been the most important ripple effect from making that change in your life?
what,
If we are to promote this to men out there
like,
to
why?
just
Yeah, why would you
stop
want to
sometimes,
do this? Look, man, it makes you more efficient, and it makes you more intentional, and it makes your energy concentrated, so that when you're going out and doing the things that you have to do, you're showing up to the meeting, you're showing up to the family event, you're showing up with your partner, your kids, your job, being of service. Your energy is more potent, it's more concentrated, so you're going to do a better job, you're going to be more efficient. There's an incredible book, actually, Stillness is the Key, by Ryan Holiday. And
yeah. I've read it a few times. It's very good.
great book, man. Highly recommend that. That was on this. It was, and Winston Churchill. There's an incredible story about Winston Churchill, and he was like, I mean, I didn't know much about Winston until reading this book, and Winston had this philosophy basically that if you don't have to walk, stand still. If you don't have to stand still, sit down. If you don't have to sit down, lie down. Like, really learn how to conserve your energy, because there's going to be moments in your life where you have to give maximum output. Like this weekend doing this event, I'm teaching yoga and breath work. I'm connecting with people. I'm just sitting and really engaging with human beings, talking about my life, talking about what's helped me, what's worked for me, hearing them, receiving them, and giving that 100%, and leaving people with a really positive influence, influencing people in a really positive way that impacts them and lights them up. Because that's what I'm doing here, with these in-person events, with all the work that I'm doing. I'm here to fill you with inspiration and light. That's the only thing that I'm doing this for, and it's just coming out. Like, I feel compelled to do this. I feel compelled to share my message and my experience, because I know how much other people's experience and message has impacted me in a positive way to get me to this place where I am the man that I am today, which is I'm pretty proud of, you know. But learning how to rest, because there was a moment there, man, where I couldn't show up for shit because I was totally burned out and blown out. From the go, 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 we got to just do this thing, get this other thing done, head to the next meeting, and I'm working a spiritual program, you know, waking up and doing breath work and meditating and going to therapy or an Al-Anon meeting or whatever the stuff is, you know what I mean? So learning how to rest has made me more efficient, more intentional. It's really concentrated my energy into the channels in my life where it's really meant to be going. I'm not just wasting time and energy. It's making me a better partner. It's making me a better dad. It's making me more available to everything in my life. So, you know, we're in a time, we're in a moment where whether you want to or not, guys, you're going to be forced to sit down. You're going to be forced to sit down by God, by the universe at some point, because we're trained to push ourselves through to the edge. And if you're like me and you spent your life playing professional football or some other sport, that any other sport really, where you're going to be playing through pain, and then on top of that, you come from probably a blue collar family background that's tough as nails. And so you're going to, when you don't feel like doing it, you're going to now take something, you're going to medicate somehow so that you do it, whether that's the beers at night or the pills or the weed all day long or whatever the stuff is, whatever the thing is that you medicate with, you're going to medicate with, and you're going to burn yourself out because you're just burning the candle at both ends. And one day you're going to be forced to sit down. And that might look really ugly, and it doesn't have to. But, you know, as my mentor so poignantly revealed to me, he said, Eb, we can learn through pain or we can learn through insight. And most of us have to learn through pain because we're not willing to just heed the nudge, you know. But if you can practice heeding those nudges, like, man, I feel tired. All right, let me just take a rest. Maybe it's a 15-minute close your eyes and just lay down. Lay on the floor. Give yourself, just start practicing like resting and just see what happens. It's a potent medicine, man. It'll change your life. Like you said, I mean, there's all of these very obvious reasons why rest is important, physiologically, psychologically, but also, like you said, creating this space so that you can actually feel what's going on inside. You're not just masking it through more action or work or effort, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Resting is a potent medicine for sure, but for a lot of men, and I'm sure you experienced it,
Hard to do.
when you rest, when you decide to take a day off, or when you decide to lie down for the day, or even take a 15-minute nap, then there's the potent feeling of guilt that comes up, isn't there?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Well, I have my own perspective on that. You know, it's about exploring it more so than
1,000%. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, that's also easier said than done. You know, is there some other perspective we can offer there?
Well, that's where the practice comes in, man. I have to say, again, coming back to the revelation of my own humanity through 10 years of deep self-study, it's practice. Practice is what changes you. Practice is what transforms you. So We have to practice everything. Just like you practice a new skill. You practice jujitsu, you practice the guitar, you got to practice patience. You got to practice grace. You got to practice letting go of the guilt when you do something for yourself. You got to practice it. And when you start, you're not going to be a master. It's going to look like shit sometimes. It's just how it goes. You know, you'll go through.
What's the strategy behind the practice that you'd recommend for the difficult feelings and emotions that come up, for example?
The practice is at first, because it's going to be really difficult to change a pattern that's probably been ingrained in your DNA through many, many generations, especially shame and guilt. Shame and guilt are heavy, heavy drugs, dude, that a lot of people live on. And so, say you take the nap and you wake up and you feel guilty, or you just went to lay down or tried to take an off day. You go on vacation and you feel guilty the entire time because you're missing work. You're still checking your email. Well, the interesting thing is, if you're choosing to go on vacation, you have to also choose to allow yourself not to feel guilty, because feeling guilty and ashamed while you're on vacation means you're pumping more cortisol and adrenaline, which is not allowing you to actually recover and rest because you're in a stressed state. So if you're a person who looks at life through a very material lens and needs science and neurochemistry to validate why you should be allowed to rest, then there's a very simple chemical happening that's going on when you are making a decision to take the family vacation and then also choosing to be guilty and stressed about work simultaneously. And what you'll realize is, like I said, you're pumping stress hormones that entire time you're on vacation. So there's actually no rest. You might as well have just stayed at work then, if that's what you're going to do. So there's a real biochemical thing that is going on when you're not allowing yourself to just rest. So give yourself that. Know that that's happening. Okay, if I'm choosing, I say that I need to rest, so I'm going to choose to lie down for 15 minutes. So then I just need to allow myself to be good with that, because I know that if I'm guilty, feeling guilt and shame, I'm secreting cortisol and adrenaline and a whole bunch of other stress hormones that's inhibiting me from actually getting the benefits of this rest period that I'm choosing to give myself. So there's that. So the other part of it is you can redirect your thought patterns. Prayer and affirmation is a really powerful way to change the thought pattern. So say you start to get on this rest and recovery, you start to add the discipline of rest and recovery into your daily practices or your weekly practices or whatever feels good to you. Hey, maybe it's just give yourself, half a day every week to start, or whatever you want to do. You can microdose it, you can macrodose it. You could do whatever makes sense to you in your inner being, whatever feels the least charged. Can I give myself 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes at lunch to lie down and just close my eyes? That's really refreshing. Or does it need to be every Sunday I just take the whole day off? It's a rest day. I spend it with family. I don't fuck with email. I make a decision. I'm not going to take any calls. I'm going to just do what feels restful. Whichever way, and there's everywhere in between. And so making that decision for yourself. So allowing yourself to have that. But then say you take it. And like everybody, we've got tons of stuff going on. There's bills and debt and the empire to build, and the conversation you had with your wife, or the thing that's going on with your kid that you're stressed about, or whatever it is. And so you're waking up in the middle of the night or throughout the day, you have these these explosions of panic and anxiety, and your mind starts to cycle on the same thing over and over again, and you feel like, God, I'm just spiraling downwards because there's this, and what about that, and fuck, I took that nap. And what you can do is you can change the mental track that you're on by getting into prayer. The serenity prayer is a really powerful one. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And you just say it over and over again. It becomes like a mantra until you feel this peace start to descend on your body. You can use the Jesus prayer. You can use the mantra, I love myself, I support myself, I approve of myself, and just say it over and over again. You're shifting the track, the mental track, the thought pattern into something that's positive and that's affirming in your ability as a sovereign being to make decisions for yourself. Because what is the overworking about anyway? It's because you've learned that you're not good enough unless you're fucking constantly in action, making money or producing something or creating something. That's what it's about. It's not actually yours. It's not because you think that working yourself to the bone is actually the best thing you can do for yourself. It's not what makes you happy. I mean, hey, some people, myself included, at various moments in my life, I think work is always something should feel really good, or can feel really good. Should is not right, but can feel extremely fulfilling. And what if you lean into that idea rather than work being a grind? Because obviously you've burned it out. You've burned yourself out on that thing, which we do with anything and everything, especially in this day and age. So I think those are some really powerful ways to, when you're just starting.
The thing is, too, once you start with those affirmations, for example, and that's sort of been my process, it feels fucking weird and it feels wrong at the beginning, but that's all the more reason to do it. But because why not believe about those things? Why not believe those things about yourself? And, for example, telling yourself that you deserve good things in your life, you deserve to rest, you are a good man, you deserve success, you deserve love, you deserve joy. And to a lot of men, once they start talking to themselves in that way, it sounds, again, wrong.
Yeah.
But then it's asking the question, okay, why does that sound wrong? Why? So that can lead you down a path of exploration as well. Fulfillment is an interesting word, and it's something you've mentioned a couple of times. What does fulfillment mean to you?
Fulfillment is it's that sensation where you've created something or done something, achieved something that you put a lot of hard work into, and you've seen the results, and it fills you with that sense of oneness. It fills you with that sense of doing your dharma, living out your divine purpose. And it may be something small, but it's beyond it's beyond just the material
Surface
level receiving or achieving. And it's this, you're filled with the spirit, you're filled with the divine, you're filled with that through effort. That to me is this sense of fulfillment. It's beyond happiness. It's I like that. I like what you said, that delineation. It's beyond happiness, and it's something much deeper that for me is my work is super fulfilling. Like doing these events and doing this thing. It's providing a service. It's, living out my true purpose on this planet, which, let's face it. And in the modern era, understanding your purpose can be a really challenging concept, totally mystifying, you know. But and especially when it comes to attempting to make your purpose be your business or your income, and so our purpose really is to, at the end of the day, it's to lift each other up, it's to support each other, it's to encourage each other, it's to be part of the fabric of humanity. And so if you can do that and be of service, your purpose, turn your purpose into a service, or service is your purpose, however we want to say it. Living through that for me is fulfilling. It's making my heart full. It's filling me with the spirit of the divine, that light, that energy that's far beyond like getting a paycheck or something like that.
Do you feel that you had that sense of fulfillment in your NFL career, or did the NFL career and your football career sort of play a part in terms of you finding your purpose and your fulfillment today?
Yes. There were moments of my football career where at the time I would have said that it felt fulfilling. And then it became something else, as most things that we're doing soon become. I realized about my football career that the vision was always to play in the NFL and make it to the NFL. So once I got to the top of that mountain and achieved that thing and made it into the NFL, I didn't even know it, but unconsciously the energy behind it, because I didn't dissolve into light, I didn't ascend into the heavens, I was still there, had to wake up the next day, and it was like, oh, now what? Okay, here we are. So making it to the NFL was certainly fulfilling. The whole experience, I would not say that I was fulfilled. However, absolutely, it was a totally crucial part of my life path to do that, to set me up for everything I was destined to do in the first place. So while there was a time where I believed that playing in the NFL was my destiny, of course, my destiny goes far beyond just the playing the football, And so it was certainly necessary for me to be able to do the things that I'm doing now, was to have that experience of playing in the NFL.
Do you feel that the fuel source has changed as well? Like I bring it back to something you mentioned earlier in terms of the turning point was when your parents were divorced or got divorced, and you were 7 years of age, and you started watching these guys on the TV and wanted to become one of them. And I'd imagine that you went through a lot of pain when your parents split up. And do you feel that you sort of transitioned that pain into the football, and then you thought, and I think I've been guilty of this, again, many men are, we sort of believe that, I'll become the success, I'll have the money, I'll play in the NFL, and then then I'll be the man, then I'll feel fucking significant, then
Absolutely.
I'll feel so strong.
Absolutely.
And then you realize that, oh shit, no, yeah. I've been doing all this from a place of insecurity, yes, not a place of love or a place of purpose.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. Exactly right.
So the fuel source has changed.
Yeah, it's like you said, man. You wake up and you realize, oh, so me being a significant human being. It has nothing to do with the money I'm making or the house I live in or the car I drive or my position. It has nothing to do with that. So what's it about then? Oh, well, it's got to be about me really respecting and loving the man that I see in the mirror. And that's based on what decisions am I making every day? What words am I speaking? Am I living in integrity? Am I spending my time deteriorating, or am I spending my time moving forward? And so from that perspective, 100%, the fuel source has definitely changed. And, you know, interestingly, going back to that existential crisis that revealed itself a couple weeks ago, that I sort of started talking about, how many times I've been down this road of that same revelation. And it's interesting, though, how it's in a little different place this time. It's like it was on a really big, grand level when I came out of football, or when I was in football, and I realized, I didn't prove it yet. I didn't become the significant person that I thought this would be, where I just commanded respect and reverence from everybody I crossed paths with. It's about something else. And so again, here I am, and it's yet another variation, or it's in another little pocket of my psyche that I get to have this surrendering yet again,
Yeah, brilliant. Eben, I have absolutely loved this conversation with you. I could go on and on, but I think there's a part 2 here somewhere.
Yeah, brother.
Once you come out the other side of whatever you're going through at the moment, and you become a spiritual guru, we'll have another conversation.
Yeah, dude, I would love it.
Yeah,
I want to have you on the Ebb and Flow, man. Talk about manhood. Talk about the truth of manhood.
Let's do it, man. There's certainly a lot that I can share. I've been on several podcasts, actually, quite recently as well. Trevor Bowen, you know Trevor?
Yeah.
Yeah, just finished a podcast with him last week, and also Behind the Shield as well. These are great guys who are leading the way as well. So likewise with yourself, this has been an honor, and please let everyone know where they can find you, potentially work with you, join one of your retreats, or tune into your podcast. Send us the links there. Where can they find you?
Yeah, brother. Thank you, man. Everything I'm doing, you can find on Instagram at EDS Britton, Britton. That'll have links to everything I've got going on. My podcast, The Ebb and Flow, you can find that Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all your streaming platforms. What else? There was something I was going to say. No events coming up yet, but there will be one on the calendar for 2025 soon. And my group mentorship program, Life and Flow, you can connect with me personally. You get one-on-one access. It's an epic community of people there. And then anything else, you can hit me on my email, contact@ebenbritton.com. If you want to work with me, you want to join anything that I've got going on, you can hit me directly there.
Brilliant. I will add all those links in the show notes below, so go check them out, everyone. And for now, as I said, this has been an honor, a great conversation, and I'm going to go now and have a 15-minute nap after this.
Nice, dude. Nice.
and not feel guilty about it.
I love it, bro.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, my man.
Thanks, brother.